Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Good Old Fashioned Philly Wrestling Podcast. My name is Rick Reinhardt, aka Ricky Smooth, aka Ricky the Dagwood Steamboat. And today, on this podcast, we are going to talk about a legendary building, venue, arena in the world of professional wrestling, otherwise known as the ECW Arena. And ladies and gentlemen, I was at every ECW show from at the arena from '97, after Hardcore Heaven '97, to the very end of ECW. And I can tell you firsthand, that building is magic. I've been back since. That building still has it. There's nothing like watching a show at the ECW Arena. And the roots of that building are very deep. And, none of us really knew it back in the day what it was, because we always thought of it as an old bingo hall. But in reality, that building has deep links with the Mummers in Philadelphia. So it's a real funny thing how ECW would be able to utilize that vibe that it had to create some of these characters that came out of that place. I mean, people like, Roadkill, and, people like the Broad Street Bully, and, people like, even like a character like Mikey Whipwreck. Like, I don't think that could have happened anywhere else. Or the Sandman, you know what I mean? Or even Raven. Some of these characters and the character development that happened, could only truly come to life, at the ECW Arena. People like Public Enemy. It's just, the list goes on and on and on. I got to talk a little bit with the franchise, Shane Douglas, off camera, and one thing that he ensured was that out of all the buildings he's wrestled at, from Madison Square Garden all over the world, the ECW Arena is the best building he has ever worked out of. That's saying something, you know what I mean? And he's not the only one saying stuff like that. That building is very special. From out back, smoking a little bud, you know what I mean? Drinking a couple beers before the show or whatever. And even the workers, man, they get changed out back and shit like that. You know what I mean? Cause they know. You know what I mean? There's a serious thing about that building that's very, very good. The way that it's been fixed up over the years, it's still the greatest place to see a wrestling show. I was watching some shows there last year, and when you grab a chair and you pull it up and you just you sit down and you really want to watch a wrestling match, that place is just fucking magic. They've really built it up nice, man. Because back in the day, it wasn't so nice. It was kind of like like I said earlier, like, we didn't really know what the deal was with it. Like, we thought of it as a bingo hall. So it was kind of crappy back in the day in the sense of just how it looked. But it always had the vibe like, yo, man, we want to see a fucking fight. You know what I mean? Almost like a Coliseum vibe, And the fans down there back in the day were so rowdy. I mean, these people came wanting to see blood and fucking guts, And, that was the times back then, too. There was that element of it, too, at the old arena shows where we knew that, this was the place to be. I'll never forget the first time we went down there. We got a heads up from our buddy Rory Devine, who knew Francine's sister somehow. And we went down there and we smooth talked our way in. My dad was the one who brought us down there. He smooth talked all of us kids in. And ever since that night, we had gotten tickets, every 3 weeks when they would come around. It was just fucking epic to be a part of those shows. And the fact that ECW is still remembered the way that it is throughout the wrestling world the way that it is. It's just one of those things that we're just happy to say, we were a part of, we were there. Wish it was still going. When I watch some of those old videos, it still feels like it's still going because it's still fresh, 23 years later. Yeah, man, the building is just special, and it looks a little different, like I remember back in the day we would come through the front, now we kind of come through, the other building that wasn't, I remember that place wasn't a part of the arena back in the day, so there's a new dimension when you go into the shows there that wasn't there before, but that's all right. I remember my dad got thrown out of one of the shows for they brawl into the crowd, and you'd have to hold on to your seat or whatever, or you might not have a seat, So I remember my dad got thrown out one time. He was sliding a chair. I don't know why he was sliding it, but he slid a chair. I think it was at Bam Bam Bigelow, and security came over and escorted him out, man. So we had to meet up with him after the show. It was awesome. My dad was rowdy down at them shows, man. He'd be yelling at Bubba Ray Dudley like crazy, and we had names for all the guys in the crowd. There was Drunken Eric, there was Armando Dukes, there was the Hammer, who I still see at shows today. There was the Hitmen, the fake Miss Jackie. There was all kinds of characters down there that we all, that we would meet up with every 3 weeks and just watch wrestling with, and that's what this whole ECW shit was truly about. Besides the arena having just a beautiful vibe to it, it was really about the tribal wrestling community, and I'm so happy and grateful to be a part of that, and thankful. There's nothing like it in the world to be a tribal Philadelphia wrestling fan. So I just wanted to talk about that and tell you guys about that. It's nice to see them guys still doing it, and we've seen the Meanie down there, the Blue Meanie. We've seen the Sandman down there. We've seen Brian Pillman Jr. down there. We've seen Teddy Hart down there. We've seen Davey Boy Smith Jr. down there. We've been seeing some guys, man, and it's been cool. We've seen Conan down there and the Disco Inferno. He did one of the best angles we've ever seen down there, where he took on like 20 girls in the ring. It's fucking hysterical. But yeah, man, there was something about it back then. There's something about it today. And what we'd all like to see is we'd like to see Paul Heyman return to the ECW arena. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this episode of the Good Old Fashioned Philly Wrestling Podcast. My name is Rick Reinhardt, saying thanks for listening.